This is the Lord of the Rings, Gollum. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. We're here on Xbox Series X where we get 3 different graphical options: performance, quality, and quality with ray tracing. All of them are uncapped frame rates for some reason, and none of them hit the target that they're after, with cutscenes being stuck at 30 FPS. There's HDR and visuals going from 1440p down to 1080p. How exciting! Like reflections that seemingly don't really reflect all the time, but you know, at the beginning here you can see Gollum, you know, looking back at Gollum. So there you go. You also have to turn on the Gollum hair simulation. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's a feature you have to turn on. And yeah, this is quite a game. I'd like to highlight that you can buy the emote pack. There's this Darin language you can buy, and if you want lore while you're playing the game, you can buy that too. So anyways, this game is a gem in terms of like really gaming devolving, I will say. It truly is one of the games that have been created of all time. So this is a really interesting experience because functionally, most of the time, it just doesn't work. I wanted to start by highlighting this because most of the time it does not work. So the first half of the game kind of like runs, you know, it's mundane, it's tedious, it's boring, it's bland, it's Gollum. Again, you know, when I think of all the different characters that exist in the Lord of the Rings universe, the one character that I always wanted a game based on was Gollum. I mean, who else is there that you would, you know, take from this this lore? So the first half of the game, it works, and then for like the second half of the game, it just like kind of like stops working. Like you'll die and the whole game will crash, or you'll move and fall somewhere and the game will crash, or part of the game won't load, or it functionally stops working, like all of it. And this isn't even getting into the other parts of the game. This is literally showing you, like, this is how long this game takes to load any part of the game. And a lot of the time, it just freezes and crashes. So it's fundamentally broken. And when you do get into the game, it looks like this. So it's like, I really don't get it. Like, this is the performance too. This is supposed to be 60 FPS. I mean, sometimes it is. A lot of the time, it's like 5 FPS. And, like, there's textures missing. And, like, it just... sometimes things don't function. Like, whole parts of the game will, like, just stop working. Like, this part here, I got to the end of it, and I couldn't get into the tunnel. The cutscene would not trigger because the game was just... it was just broken. So it's, again, it looks like this. Like, this is the Elven territory. So this is supposed to be like the most beautiful area of Lord of the Rings. And this is what it looks like. So if you kind of haven't gotten it already, Gollum is the worst game I've ever played. If you've, you know, if you've seen the games I've played, I've played thousands of games, honestly. I have. I really have. You know what? Let me go to my library here. You know, I've got, you know, like 800 plus installed right now, and I've got a library of like 3,200 titles on Xbox alone. You know, that's not even counting like other platforms. And this, I do proclaim, is the worst game I have ever played. I've been around, you know, almost a few decades at this point. And this is the worst game I have seen in my entire life. I was in there for a while. I'm like, what would I say is the worst game I've ever played? And I was like, there's a lot of really bad games out there. There's a lot of games out there where I'm like, 2 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Well, there's not a lot of games out there like that. But, there's a few. There's a handful I could name where I'm like, this is abysmal. But I was always like, what is the worst game I've ever played? And I sat there and I really thought about it for quite a while. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to pick a game that's like the worst of the worst. Because I like games. So I don't like when games are bad. But, a bad game, I try to find, like, something of interest and intrigue to it. And this is the gameplay, by the way. So, this legitimately is the worst game I have ever played in my entire life. And you know what? There's like glimmers here where I'm kind of like, I feel bad for the developers because there's like, they definitely tried. And they tried to care, I guess. But then, as you continue to play the game and it continues to break even more and more, I sit there and go like, did the developers care? I don't think they did, or they wouldn't have released a game like this. So let's dive in and let's talk about this game from the perspective of the story. So you play as Gollum for some reason. And it's kind of like a stealth game where the stealth like doesn't really function. Like you can walk in front of characters, they don't notice you. You can make like a weird twitching sound and all of a sudden they know exactly where you are. And it's fundamentally broken on every level. And then like to pair that, the parts of the game that do work are just insanely mundanely boring. Like at the beginning of the game, I was sitting there and I was streaming it and I'm like, you know what, at worst this game is boring. And then I sat there and I'm like, okay, it's still, it's more and more boring. Okay, still boring. It's like the boringness hasn't ended. And it's like a literal punishment playing this game. And then it just like, eventually, it just starts breaking and falling apart. And like, I've had areas here where I got stuck on weird checkpoints where like parts of the level were like missing. Not to mention like a lot of the time where you're like looking at textures like rocks and stuff and there's no texturing on them. It's really, really weird. Like they know I'm here. Oh, they killed me, I guess. And it's just like, so you play as Gollum. Gollum! And you spend the first, I don't know, 6 chapters, 6 hours or so of the game. It is a long game, a little too long for a game about Gollum. I don't know if they were like overreaching or what with their design concepts, but like, it is a decently lengthy game. It's probably going to take you 10 plus hours. A good 3 hours of that will be dealing with crashing and, crash loops and everything like that just go in circles and circles. But, like, you spend the first, like, 6 hours or so in an orc slave camp. That's the game. Seriously, like, you're just doing your day-to-day. You're, like, getting the tasks done that the orcs give you. You're meeting these colorful characters. The frail man is a hero of mine personally. And like that's literally like the first half of the game is you're just in jail as like a slave. And you get like a bird for some reason. And then like the second half of the game catches up to where the start of the game is. And you're in jail with the elves, so you're in an elven jail. So the whole game is about you being in jail as Gollum. That's the whole story. And it's like, that's the game, and you meet unforgettable characters that you really wish you could forget along the way, such as blind elf lady, frail old man, cruel she-elf, cruel woman. Very, very eccentric Lord of the Rings characters that I remember really greatly from the times that I, explored the lore through the books and the movies and past games. It's Gollum.
There you are.
Like, I can't believe this game exists. And it's like, I had low expectations going into this game. I was like, you know what, it's Gollum, I'll take it for what it is. I don't think it's gonna be very good, whatever. But wow, did this game manage to blow away every expectation and anticipation of how bad I thought a video game could be in my life. Holy. For the first half, I was like, well, at least the game doesn't, like, crash. Until, like, the game started, like, constantly crashing. It's just like... and it just kept getting progressively and progressively worse. And that's Gollum. And sure, you know, maybe I'm not sitting here playing the best. Maybe I could be like, you know, being more sneaky and stealth-like. But the whole game is just so random that the stealth really doesn't, like... Again, it's just completely nonsensical stealth elements that don't even really make sense. You're more effective just kind of running by everything or, like, walking by everything and it just kind of panning out for you. It's... it's such a dumb game. It is just... I don't know why this exists. Like, it's like the developers hate the people that go to play this game. Like, passionately hate them. I really do feel that. I've never played a game where I'm like, I think the developers don't like me. And I was like, this is so weird, because it's Daedalic, and Daedalic has made some, like, really lovely, charming games over the years. And then there's this, and I'm like, were they punching above their weight? What was going on here? Why did they think this was okay to release? Like, I don't think there was any saving this project. That's the second time this month I'm feeling that from a video game. I don't necessarily think there was any way to save this. But wow, this is like an obscene, again, exercise in insanity. Like, I really don't get why this game exists as it does. I don't know why they chose to release this game. I don't know why they weren't embarrassed by the fact that this game even, like, was made. Like, weren't there many points in development where they're kind of like, guys, I don't think this is working. Should we, like, not do this? You know, like, this is gonna cost us a lot to make, and it's not... No one's gonna, like, buy a game about Gollum already. And it's like, you know, I want to live in a world where Gollum can be Game of the Year, but... That is a twisted world, I think, where every video game is just broken nonsense. But, like, I really genuinely am just so confused by Gollum. Oh, and I forgot also, there's Gollum and there's Smeagol, so if you don't know about the character, there's, you know, it's a split character, so it's like, at times you have to, like, you can do a Gollum run or a Smeagol run in regards to, like, you know, your character and their ambitions or blah blah blah. And you have to sit there and, like, convince yourself that, hey, you know, this isn't what we should be doing and blah blah blah. I went for the Gollum route because, you know, Gollum is the title character of the game, obviously. But, yeah, I really genuinely do not understand why this game exists as it does. It really... To me, I don't understand this game. like your character will reach out to things. And the other part of it is, like, the parkour and stuff in this game, like, 80% of the time, it doesn't work. Like, you could literally be trying to, like, grapple onto something and Gollum will, like, miss, or you go flailing off into the distance, or, like, randomly characters see you from, like, nowhere, or, like, you're parkouring places and the parkour doesn't work, or you don't know where you're headed because the setup for the parkour doesn't work or doesn't make sense, and it's so weird. Like, I don't even, like, even story-wise, I don't get the point of this. Like, there's not a single character in this game that I'm like, I like this character, or I find this character interesting. Not a single character in this game. And in fact, I don't even know if I want to watch The Lord of the Rings again. And that's like one of the best movie franchise trilogies of all time. I don't know if I could stomach sitting there. I'd have to, like, to fast forward through the Smeagol parts or something. Because I just had it with this character. Like, I literally couldn't even finish the game. I had to, like, I was right at the end, and I was like, I can't handle these crashes. I had to, like, watch the ending. Because I couldn't handle sitting there watching it crash again, and again, and again, and again. And it's just, like, it's so ridiculous, this game. It genuinely is like one of the dumbest games I've ever played. It's the worst game I've ever played. It randomly gives you different checkpoints at times too, which is kind of funny. Like sometimes I'll have a checkpoint there, sometimes I won't have any checkpoint. It's just like, it really is just stupid. It's dumb, it's mundane, it's like, it's poorly designed. The voice acting is terrible for like literally all of the characters. It's just, even the story itself, really the narrative beats on this one seem like kind of random, and by the end of it you don't even really know like what was going on. Like it's so terribly stupid. Like the whole game is just dumb, and the developers really should be like embarrassed by this game. You know, this I don't know why I keep having to have this like feeling of like having to be like, I don't know why developers were okay with this being made. And you feel bad for the people that were like a part of this. Because as I said, it does seem like there was an attempt. But it wasn't an attempt of like passion or anything for that. Like it's not like, oh, every minute of play here was like dripping with exciting passion for Gollum. It was like, okay, how do we pad this area out? Like there'll be long segments where like a character will literally like walk, and you have to wait for that character to finish walking. I've counted like minute and a half long sequences. I'm not even kidding. Where like your characters, like you're sitting there as Gollum waiting for these people to walk to where you are. Like it's insulting. Like it's just padding gameplay of padding gameplay. Like if you know your game's bad, at least make it quick so it's done fast. And it just seems like the quality assurance testing just like went out the door in the second half of the game. It's so bizarre in like every like metric and concept. It is like the first time where I'm legitimately like, this is a straight up 0 out of 10 game. There's like, I don't even really do scores in my video reviews, and it's like, that is how horrible this game is. Like it barely just like functions. It shouldn't exist as a concept. It's made me like really disinterested in Lord of the Rings. Oh, it's broken here too. Oh, I wouldn't even be able to finish the level because it's broken. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so someone's supposed to talk to you here. It's broken. This is the part I had when I streamed the game. You got here. Yeah, so there's supposed to be a person that talks to you here, and it's not working. Oh, that is so funny. Yeah, you're supposed to talk to somebody. So I couldn't actually finish the level doing this part. I could go through the rest of the level, but when I get to the end, it would just like block it out and it wouldn't let me finish the game. That is hilarious. Oh, okay. Oh, and there's also like Gollum vision, and it sometimes tells you where you're going, but most of the time doesn't tell you where you're going, and you're sitting there being like, I really wish I knew what I was supposed to do, because everything kind of blends together with like murky, crappy visuals. And it's just like, where am I headed? And it's like, it's the most confusing guidelines I think I've ever seen in a game. Like it's like a fable trail, but the fable trail is like actively trying to like get you killed. It's just, this really is it's an exercise in insanity. Of insanity, whatever the fun quote is that I used for our other fun game, Redfall. There, it's so genuinely bad on every level. And I'm sure I could sit here and be like, oh yeah, you know, you use intense stealth dynamics and blah blah blah. But Gollum sucks.